Good morning students. Welcome in our today's session. In our today's sessions we are going to discuss the next important chapter, chapter number 3 from your grammar textbook, that is clauses. Friends, in our previous standard you have learned what is meant by phrases and the difference between phrases and clauses. By taking that reference, once again we will revise this part and then after we will move ahead. For your better understanding, I have given some examples. After this discussion, I will turn towards the meaning of clauses and their different types. See friends, she called me in the morning. He asked me the name of the street. The man who is at the door is my brother. Here, some words are highlighted. Friends, these highlighted words are called phrases. What is meant by phrases? The group of words that make some sense but not complete sense are called phrases. She called me up in the morning. Instead of that, if I said only in the morning, do you get the meaning? No, in the morning. What will happen in the morning? You don't get perfect meaning. You are getting some sense but not complete sense in the morning. What in the morning? You are not understanding the perfect meaning from this, and that is why in the morning is a phrase. A group of words that make some sense but not complete sense is called phrases. That part you have learned. See another example. The man who is at the door is my brother. Instead of that, if I say the man is my brother, okay, who is at the door, these two different sentences are there. By these two sentences, we are getting separate subject and finite verb. Okay, that is also called main verb. The man is my brother. You are getting perfect meaning. Who is at the door? Here also we are getting subject and finite verb. Okay, and when a group of words that is a part of a sentence make complete sense and has subject and finite verb is called clause. Okay, this definition you have learned in standard 6. I hope that you understood what is meant by clause and what is meant by phrases. But I will take some more examples for your better understanding. See friends, the man who is at the door is my brother. Already I have taken this example and already I have discussed on that. We rested when the clock struck 1. We rested when the clock struck 1. Wait until I return. Second number example. Number third, he does not know why he was called to the office. He does not know why he was called to the office. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Here, the highlighted group of words is called clause. Here, highlighted group of words in the sentence are called clause. And each clause has subject and finite verb. See friends, who is at the door? Here also we are getting subject and finite verb. When the clock struck 1, here also we are getting subject and finite verb. And when we are getting the separate subject and finite verb in the sentence, within a sentence, okay, that is calling clause. Okay, there are different type of clauses. That type we will discuss. Before that, we will understand what is the difference between dependent or main clause and what is the difference between independent main clause and subordinate or dependent clause. What is the difference between? I told you the definition. Okay, note down this definition in your textbook, in your notebook. Here I will explain what is meant by main clause and what is meant by subordinate clause. That part I will explain. Listen it carefully. For this I have taken some example. The man is my brother who is at the door. who is at the door. To gain the meaning of this statement, we have to depend upon the previous one. And that's why who is at the door is a subordinate clause. We may also call dependent clause. And the man is my brother is called independent clause. It also called main clause. So friends, what is meant by dependent clause and what is meant by independent clause? I am telling you definition. The clause that stands its own a sentence is called main clause. To gain the meaning of this, it stand its own is called main clause. And for the meaning, when the statement depend on a clause that depends on the main clause, on the main statement, for their understanding, for their meaning, that called subordinate clause. You understood this? The man is my brother is a dependent clause. Who is at the door is a subordinate clause. Okay, why it is subordinate? Because to gain the meaning of this statement, you have to depend upon the previous statement, and that's why it called subordinate or dependent clause. So friends, you understood this concept, what is meant by subordinate or dependent clause, subordinate and main clause. Okay friends, this subordinate clause is also divided into three different types. There are two type of clauses. Main clause, that also called independent clause. Why it is independent? Because it has its own meaning. We are getting separate meaning, but to gain the meaning when the statement from the statement, we have to depend upon the previous statement, that called subordinate clause. So friends, let's discuss what is meant by we'll discuss now the different type of subordinate clause, that is noun clause, adjective clause and adverb clause. And then the first type, that is a noun clause. Noun clause is a subordinate clause that function as a noun within the main clause. When it function as a noun, that called main clause. So friends, what is meant by this? For your better understanding, I have taken some more examples. Look at this. I don't know what you like. What you like is a noun clause. Okay, because it functions as noun. To gain the meaning of this statement, we have to depend upon the noun. He asks me when would arrive. When the clause modified to noun, that called noun clause. In a simple definition, I'm telling you, when the clause modified the noun, that called noun clause. He asks me he asks me what he asks, when the train would arrive. Friends, I'm telling you a simple clue of identification. When you ask the question who or what to the verb, and the answer of that question means noun clause. Okay, when we are getting two finite verbs, two subjects, in that when you ask the question to the main verb, which question you will ask? Who or what to the verb, that called what we call it? We call it noun clause. See, once again keep in mind, it is very important, because in an exam you have to identify different clauses. For example, they will give sentences like this: I wanted to know whom I would prefer. Identify clause from the statement. Okay, here we have to identify improperly. What you have to do? I wanted to know what, whom I would prefer. The word whom I would prefer is a noun clause because it modified to the noun. Okay, it modified to the noun, and that's why it is noun clause. I hope that you understood this. See some more examples. I will read it. He asks who I wanted to see. What he asks? Who I wanted to see. I wanted to know whom I would prefer. Here, whom I would prefer is a noun clause. Why it is noun? Because it modifies noun. Okay, and answer of this question we are getting by what? When we are getting the answer by what or whom, that called noun clause. See friends, he wanted to know. What he wanted to know? Whom I would prefer. These what, when, whom, these are connectors. Okay, these are connectors. We have to connect the statements. When see, I am telling the connectors of noun clause also in detail. Before that, let me complete the last example. They were curious to know where I live. Okay, and it is mystery that he has survived. It is mystery. What is mystery? It is mystery that he has survived. That he has survived is a noun clause. And the clause connectors in the sentences are what, when, who, whom, where, and that. Friends, a very simple point I am telling you. In the noun clause, most of the time, 99%, you are getting connector that is that and what. When you are getting these two connector, most of the chances are there. Otherwise, another hint already I told you. Okay, when you ask the question who and what to the verb, that called noun clause. Answer of this question means noun clause. Instead of that, when you are getting most of the time, 99%, when you are getting that what, that may be noun clause. You have to confirm it by asking the question who and what, and when the clause modify to the noun, that called noun clause. It function as a noun when the clause function as a noun. When the clause function as a noun, that called noun clause. I hope you understood this. Now we will discuss what is meant by adjective clause. The second type of subordinate clause, that is adjective clause. So friends, an adjective clause provides information for noun in another part of the sentence. It gives us information about the noun or pronoun, and it plays just after the noun or pronoun. It called adjective clause. I will explain the definition. Before that, we will discuss some examples. The cake that she bought was delicious. Which cake was delicious? This clause always answering the question which. The people who live next door are good neighbors. Which people are good neighbors? Who live in the next door. Who live next door, that are good neighbors. Here, who live in next door is an adjective clause. Okay, it provides information for noun or pronoun in the part of a sentence. I visited the town where they met. I visited the town where they met. The leaders whom we are elected will commence work next week. Do you know? The woman whose picture is in the magazine. Whose picture is in the magazine is an adjective clause. So friends, let's discuss the definition of adjective clause. What is meant by adjective clause? The clause connector in the sentence who, whom, that, where, when, and why. And the adjective clause answers the question which in the statements. So, adjective clause means what? The clause in the sentence function as adjective. The clause in the sentence function as an adjective and is placed just after a noun or pronoun. When It functions as an adjective and it places just after the noun or pronoun that called adjective clause. Here, the cake that she bought was delicious. It functions as an adjective and it places after the noun. Here, the noun is here the cake. The cake is a noun. And after the noun, the clause plays here. Okay, and it functioning as a noun. When the clause functioning as a noun, and it functioning as a noun, that called extremely sorry, and it functioning as an adjective, that called adjective clause. Okay, it give us more information about the noun, that called adjective clause. Here I have given example of this. Okay, I hope that you understood this. Now the last clause, that is a adverb clause. Words which are modified to verbs. When the words are modified to verbs, that called adverb clause. So friends, I told you adjective clause answering the question which, noun clause answering the question who and what. Who and what, you have to ask this question to verb, and here which you have to ask this question to noun. Okay, and when words which are used to modify verbs, that called adverb. Okay, words which are used to modify verbs, adjective or adverbs are usually referred as adverbs. I see here I have given the definition of what is meant by adverb. Before going to discuss adverb clause, just try to understand the meaning of our adverb. Words which are modified verbs, adjective, adverbs are usually referred to as adverb. Here the adverb is I often visit the library. Often visit, it modified to the verb. Okay, so often is an adjective. It is surprisingly what? What is a verb? Okay, it is surprisingly what? It modified to the verb, and when the word modified to the verb, that called adverb. Okay, see, modified to the verb or adjective, that called adverb. The clause in the sentence function as an adverb, that called adverb clause. Friends, the clause in the sentence function as an adverb, that called adverb clause. Here I have given example of adverb clause. Look at this. Try to understand the meaning of this. Here I have given example of adverb clause. 5 years old girl talks as much as an adult does. Though he is rich, he never helps the needy. He could not attend the function as he was out of town. As you sow, so you reap. Here the highlighted clauses are adverb clause. As they function as adverb, the clause connectors are as much as, whatever, if, though. And friends, one more important thing, these clause answering the question why, how, where and when. Why, how, where and when. Okay, why, how, when and where and when we are getting answer by this question, that clause is called adverb clause. So friends, I hope that you understood the meaning of clauses. Okay, different type of clauses, what is meant by clause, how to identify noun clause, adverb clause and adjective clause. To gain the answer, I told you some clues. I told you that by asking the question who and what to the verb, we are getting noun clause. Noun clause functioning as a noun. Okay, when the clause functioning as a noun, that called noun clause. Okay, when the clause functioning as an adjective, that called adjective clause. When the verb modified to the noun, that called adverb. When the verb modified to the verb, that called adverb. and the adverb functioning as when the when in the statement the clause functioning as an adverb, that called adverb clause. I hope that you understood this very well. So friends, thank you very much. Listen this video carefully. Thank you.